30 Odd Minutes is sponsored in part by Digital Dowsing. Who are you powered by?
For the next 30 minutes, we will explore the unexplained. From mysteries beyond our galaxy to ghostly phenomena in our own backyard. We will dive into our psychic abilities and explore everything from conspiracies to the just plain weird. Welcome to 30 Odd Minutes. If the truth is out there, we will find it. But only by sheer accident.
Hey! Welcome to 30 Odd Minutes. It's great to have you guys aboard the mothership. We have set her out in space because tonight we're talking about the secret space program. One that doesn't involve our ship, I think. I'm not sure, though. It's going to be like that. Of course, we want to introduce and say hello to our folks in the control room. Matt and Andrew, how are you guys tonight?
Hey, Jeff, how's it going there?
Jeff.
Hey, careful with the coffee cup over there. Last time the spill was very messy. What's new?
Not a whole heck of a lot, just keeping the ship flying.
Yeah,
keeping us safe and sound.
We appreciate that. Watch out for the star system ahead of you there. It's, careful. Matt, what's new with you?
Upgrades are almost ready. We'll be ready to go to Plaid next time we launch.
That is mighty fast, mighty fast. All right. Any announcements, Andrew?
Oh, 1 second. Let me see what we got here. Our usual communications officer is washing her delicates, so I'll take care of this.
All right.
We have a greetings going out to Lake County TV in Lake County, California. I wonder if that's named after my family.
Could be.
Could be. Thanks for watching the Mothership Signal on Channel 8. We can read your thoughts, and they are weird.
Nice.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
We have an email today. Dear 30 Odd Minutes, is it true that you are part of the New World Order? Is the mothership owned by the Illuminati? Can you confirm where the U.S. government is hiding the aliens? From Connie C. in Omaha, Nebraska. Well, Connie, we are part of the Old World Disorder, and the mothership is leased through GMAC, and yes, we do know where the alien bodies are.
Way to leave them hanging. All right, thank you, boys. I appreciate it. And as they mentioned, Laura, our communications officer, we've given her a leave of absence for the night, but she'll be back next time. Don't you worry, Laura.
She's washing her hair.
She's washing her hair. Tomorrow she dries it. All right. So as I mentioned, we are talking about the secret space program, and Dr. Dreck had something to say about it. Take a look.
Greetings, oddballs. Dr. Dreck here, and speaking of secret space programs, I've had one of my own going on for a while. You see, I've made all these little tiny messenger robots to send to the different planets to see if I can get a message back. And as it turns out, I just got one of my little handy-dandy robots right here, and he's brought me back a message from, I believe it's Saturn. So, thank you, Gort. Let me see. Dear sir, I am Prince Kofu, the elder son of the late King Kofu. Before the death of my father, King Tofu was authorized and officially known as the next successor and beneficiary of my father's property according to the African traditional right. But I need a surrogate in the United States to claim all the money and property entitled to me. I think I ought to get in on this, huh? What do you think, huh? What did you do that for, you?
That's a scam, you idiot.
Oh. I knew that. I was testing your circuits. Good work.
Thank you, Dr. Dreck. Getting spam from across the galaxy. We appreciate it. That's probably how it would go, isn't it? All right. Is there a covert breakaway civilization responsible for a secret invisible space program? Have governments already created a moon base or even a Mars base? Could some of the many UFO sightings around the world be linked to this secret program? Tonight's guests will tell us that there's a lot more going on above our heads than we may realize. Our guest is an Emmy-award winning television producer and videographer and the author of several books, including The Secret Space Program. He's also the editor of the online magazine Conspiracy Journal. You've seen and heard him on countless radio and television programs, and tonight he beams aboard the mothership to blow our minds. Please welcome live from Southern Indiana, Tim Swartz. Yeah. Yay!
Hey,
Tim.
Jeff.
Hi, good to have you here, Tim. Thank you for joining us on the mothership. Okay, tell us, what is going on in space today? What's above us?
What's going on in space today? Well,
Whoa. Froze.
Well, I'm not sure. Actually, I think at us. You know?
Right. Well,
you see what happened in Russia and California and Florida? No, it's just unbelievable. So I think it's about time that we need to look into what we can send up there, and I don't know, maybe try to prevent space from coming down here.
Right. Of course. Yeah. As we saw in Russia, you had mentioned the rocks coming down. Okay, so secret space program. This is very intriguing. The idea of moon bases and Mars bases, you say, starts all the way back with Tesla. Let's start with Nikola Tesla. Here's a picture of the old bean by his famous Tesla coil. How does this incredible genius lead us to the space program?
Well, Nikola Tesla was probably, I think he's the greatest genius in our day and age. And it was due to Tesla's research into electricity that he discovered that there is a connection between electricity and gravity. This research was later carried on by a man named T. Townsend Brown, but Tesla was the first guy to take that first step into developing what we would now refer to as field propulsion, or in layman's term, anti-gravity. Now, of course, a lot of people say, Tesla didn't have anything. Tesla didn't build spaceships or flying saucers, and they're absolutely right. Tesla's the science in his day, it would have been impossible for him to do something like that. But Tesla was the guy who took those first tentative steps into researching and discovering the possibility that it was possible that you could fly not only in our atmosphere but into outer space with something other than rocket ships, which we have today. And
right.
Of course, then that technology was carried on by other entities after Tesla's death.
I think when we think of Tesla, we think of the concept of broadcasting energy, the Tesla tower that he built and things like that. But certainly he was experimenting in all kinds of ideas. There's the example of the broadcast tower. Could have been revolutionary. No need for power lines, no need for anything. Just grab your energy right from the air. Could have been something.
Oh, very much so. Yes.
Yeah. So let's move on to Otis Carr. Otis Carr is an example of a person who built off of this. Tell us about him.
Sure. Otis Carr claimed that he actually knew Tesla in his later days. Otis Carr was a bellboy at a hotel in Manhattan that Tesla lived in his waning years, and Carr claimed that Tesla shared with him some of his concepts to anti-gravity and other universal forces. Now, Carr never professed to be, an engineering genius or anything like that. What he was smart enough to do, though, was that later on he hired a bunch of engineers who were able to take Tesla's concepts and to make something of them. And Carr actually came up with a device that he claimed would be able to fly outside of the Earth's atmosphere and to the moon in just a matter of hours. And even though he was later arrested for stocks and security fraud, there was a man who surfaced. It's been just a few years ago, who was an engineer for Carr and had no idea that people were still talking about Carr, and this guy said, yes, Otis T. Carr was actually successful in building a full-size prototype of this anti-gravity ship, and it actually worked. And rather than being arrested for stocks and security fraud, Carr was warned by the United States government that the government didn't appreciate the competition, that a civilian-based spaceship was not going to happen, and that they were going to have to shut down. And Carr moved his operations to California. There, he was later arrested, under those charges. But his former engineer said that yes, this was a reality. This did happen, and the United States government shut them down.
You even sent us a photo here, the OTC X1. There it is, kind of a grainy photo, but that's allegedly one of the prototypes?
Yes, this actually was a photograph this engineer actually had on his possession. Like I said, he had no idea that there was still controversy surrounding Otis T. Carr. So, he's an older gentleman, and he got online and discovered that there were still people talking about it. So he went through his files and stuff and found these photographs and brought them forth as evidence, saying, yes, I mean, here's some photographs that have never been published before. I work for Otis T. Carr. This was the actual prototype. Now the patent, and Otis T. Carr actually had a patent issued for this device, except that it was called an amusement device, like a carnival ride or something like that.
Sure.
That was the only way that he could come up with to get the patent issued to him, because the patent office doesn't issue patents for anti-gravity devices.
Of course not. Now we know that the U.S. government, the Air Force, tinkered with various saucer designs. You sent us a photo. Here's an example of a saucer-shaped craft, and that wasn't the only one. There were others. What is it about this design, the idea of the saucer, that's so appealing when it comes to moving through time and space?
Your guess is as good as mine. Now of course, a lot of engineers say that the saucer shape, or even like a ball shape, is like the perfect shape for being able to travel not only through the atmosphere but through outer space. Now, I'm not an engineer. I'm not a scientist. I'm a journalist, so I'm going to have to take their words for it. But it does seem to be a universal shape. There's saucer, ball shaped, chevron, or triangular shaped. You see those same kind of shapes repeating themselves throughout history when it comes to UFO sightings. So obviously there must be something with these shapes that is of some significance. I mean, if UFOs were all hoaxes, then you would have just a plethora of different shapes coming all over the place. And even though we do have a lot of unique UFO shapes being reported, they all seem to fall within the same types of categories.
Right, which of course is interesting. Matt's got a point to make. Matt Moniz.
Well, bear in mind that these crafts also follow nature's natural shapes. Birds have delta wing or chevron shape. A good example of a saucer shape is used in hydrodynamics by the flatfish or flukes and stuff like that. Nature uses these designs. You've got fish that, like the barracuda, which are torpedo-shaped, long cylinders, which these cigar shapes are seen all the time. Nature and these designs follow a natural pattern.
Sure.
So,
and our airplanes are not that far of a cry from a bird design.
Right.
I mean, the way the wings,
How do you explain the bumblebee?
The bumblebee.
Just shouldn't fly, damn it.
The bumblebee is an alien.
Actually,
clearly.
by physics, he is correct. The bumblebee should not fly, but nobody told the bee.
It was all right. No, that's a good point. So I mean, excellent point. So the saucer shape. Here's the $1 million question, though. If this saucer shape is so efficient in moving through time and space, quietly, quickly, not carrying a great deal of fuel, why would the U.S. government spend so much money and time and energy on chemical rockets that are slow, heavy, expensive, not generally reusable? Years and years and years of these heavy, heavy chemical rockets that at the end of the day...
left out dangerous.
Dangerous, yes, of course.
Very
They explode,
dangerous.
Why go down that path? If other folks can build off Tesla's work, why wouldn't the flying saucer be as ubiquitous as the space shuttle or the Saturn rocket today?
That's a very good question, and I mean there could be a number of different answers. I think the main one being that this is such a juicy prize. The whole idea of having, say, like an anti-gravity ship or something that really nobody else has. That you're going to keep it as secret as possible and use it only when necessary. And I mean, and face it, in the whole scheme of things so far in mankind's, or in modern mankind's history, nothing has really presented itself that would require the use of this Uber weapon or Uber craft. Of course, now I'm just speculating on this. I mean, it could very well be that under some of the more recent wartime conditions at night, some of these craft may have been utilized for all we know. But I think it's something that they're keeping it secret just because it is the ultimate secret, or as the writer Richard Dolan has said, that there has been a breakaway civilization that has developed itself based on this super secret technology, and it's paramount to the breakaway civilization's secrecy to keep this a secret as well.
Alternative 3.
Alternative 3.
Exactly. I mean, Alternative 3 was a hoax, but I think possibly
it was a great book.
It may have hit some truths.
Right. All right. Folks, hold tight. When we get back after the news break, we are going to be back with Tim Swartz, and we're going to be talking about some of the deeper meanings. Do we have bases on Mars, the moon, or otherwise? We'll be back right after the news.
In February of 2013, a woman in Mount Hagen, Papua New Guinea, was accused of witchcraft and then burned alive. Apparently, an angry mob had been made to believe that the 20-year-old woman named Kampari Lanata was a witch and that she was responsible for the recent death of a child in their poor farming community. The enraged gang seized the woman, bound her, tortured her, and then set her on fire using gasoline. Police Commissioner Tom Kalunga called the incident shocking and devilish and is very angry that the local police have made no arrests in the case, especially since the crime took place in broad daylight with at least 100 witnesses. This is not the only case of this kind in Papua New Guinea. In July 2012, 29 members of a cannibal cult were charged with killing 7 men whom they thought were witch doctors. The cult members believed that they could obtain supernatural powers by eating the victims' raw brains and a soup made from the dead men's penises. The group paired the meal with a fruity Cabernet, followed by a light palate-cleansing sorbet. In other news, on February 12, 2013, folks in Great Falls, Montana, watching KRTV were notified through the station's emergency alert system that dead bodies were rising from the graves and attacking people. The alert went on to warn people that the reanimated corpses were dangerous and to stay away from them. However, it was not a legitimate zombie attack. It all turned out to be the work of pranksters who had managed to hack their way into the TV station's emergency broadcast system. The prank must have been done fairly well because local police station received 4 phone calls asking if the report was true. I'm Andrew Lakin. Oddly enough, that's the news.
Thank you, Andrew. And we're back with Tim Swartz talking about the secret government space program. Matt Moniz, our own Matt, you've got some experience of this with your family. Tell us about it.
Yeah, my ex-wife, her uncle actually worked for the Air Force. He was an Air Force member and was part of the Air Force's secret space program. They have a base or a series of bases out in the Pacific where they launch from, not just Vandenberg and other places, but large-scale base out in the Pacific. And I have uncles that were merchant marines and members of the Navy that used to ferry material out there, and they did confirm to me that there are bases out there that do launch stuff into space. I can't say that we definitely have bases on the moon or Mars, but I can definitely believe that we do have a secret space program outside of what the public knows about.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, there's governments always testing crafts, whether they be stealth or otherwise. Tim, what have you found in your research? What's out there that the general public just doesn't know about?
Well, I'll tell you, a good example would be the evidence that was uncovered by the British hacker, and I'll put that in very loose terms, a guy by the name of McKinnon, who was looking for government evidence of UFOs. And he said that he uncovered evidence of a secret space program that had a number of large ships out in outer space and with personnel records as well. And so I think that this is probably some of the best evidence that we've had so far, just exactly what's out there. It's really difficult to say just exactly what kind of craft could be being utilized right now, because you have to remember that there's a lot of disinformation out on this subject. And by disinformation, you go and you take just a little bit of truth, and then you muddy it all up with just all kinds of
right.
bad stuff.
No, understood. So tell me though, I mean, your book, the front cover of the book flat out says moon bases, Mars bases. Have you heard any evidence at all that suggests maybe we've been to Mars already?
Yes, it's like I referred to earlier about Alternative 3. This was a hoax broadcast from England. It was like an April Fool's joke, and a lot of people took it seriously. Well, I think that actually that there could be some truth to this story. I don't know about Mars just yet, but I think that definitely we have already established bases on the moon. I think that there's beyond a shadow of a doubt on that, and that the whole civilian space program of going to the moon has really just been, I can't really say it's been a cover-up, because I doubt if anybody on that end really knows about it. But I think one of the reasons that you don't see a lot of support for the civilian space program is because of the monies, the black budget monies that is already being spent on the military budget for this. There's been a lot of photographs that have been taken of the moon that shows some really suspicious-looking artifacts that appear to be man-made. Now, of course, a lot of people say, "Oh, well, this is evidence of extraterrestrial life on the moon." Well, yeah, you could go that direction as well. It's really hard to say, but there does seem to be some very good evidence that there is some kind of activity on the moon, and whether it's ours or theirs. Yeah, it's hard to say right now.
Well, let's talk real quick about the civilian space program, because it's gaining ground. Richard Branson, Virgin Galactic, these guys are making strides, and the thought is, you've got private industry that are bringing payloads up to the International Space Station and so on. These guys are going to make strides, and eventually government can cover up whatever they want. A guy like Richard Branson is going to just fly to the moon and see for himself. And then what? And then what happens to some of these, these programs?
Bob Bigelow?
Yeah, Bob Bigelow.
Yeah,
Bigelow. This stuff is happening. It's in the works. Those kind of folks are getting stuff done because they're in private industry. There's nothing to hide or cover up. It's exciting. It increases their stock value at times. So then what? Do you think the government's going to step in, or do you think these folks are going to blow the lid off it?
I don't know if they're going to blow the lid off of it, but you're absolutely right. Eventually the wall is going to come crumbling down on the secrecy of the black budget space program. And I think a lot of people are going to be surprised that it's not just the United States as well. I'm sure that there are other countries as well that are involved in this. Heck, who knows? China, Russia, the United States, they may be all in it together when it comes to the secret space program. So I don't think anything at this point is going to surprise me, but it is something I don't think that is going to be, it's not a sustainable secret.
Right.
Eventually the truth is going to come out. How it's going to come out, it's hard to say. And it may be used as an excuse to finally clear up the whole UFO mystery.
Right.
Whether or not the UFO mystery has anything to do with the secret program, or if it's just, like a small part of it.
Right.
Somewhere along the line, somebody may say, oh yeah, well, there's no UFOs. It's all part of our secret space program.
Right.
So forget about the blue green men.
Right, understood. And I think we're only a few years from civilians starting to regularly go into space, even if they're short flights, tourist flights. All right, Matt Moniz, what say you?
I'd like to know what his opinion is on the claims made by Eisenhower's granddaughter.
What did she claim, Matt?
Claimed that she was approached to be part of a group that is to go to a Mars base and be part of a colony out there.
Tim, do you like Ike or his granddaughter?
Her and what's the guy's name? Andrew Basaggio, I think is how you pronounce his name. They have claimed that they have been part of a teleportation and time travel project that is put across by the United States government, going on at least from the early 1970s. So, I have my doubts. I haven't been there. I haven't seen these projects taking place, but I don't think that we should take what they claim too seriously. Right. Now, if I say this and suddenly behind me a time traveler appears and puts their hands on my shoulder and says, "Guess again," well, then I may be more inclined to believe. I do believe, though, that there has been research conducted over the years, on teleportation and time travel and things like that. I have no doubt about that.
Sure.
Whether or not they've been successful or not, that's a completely different story.
Right. No, understood. And if you have been successful, please appear next to me right now.
That's right.
Guess not. We tried. Okay, let's talk about the black triangles. This is a popular UFO phenomenon. We've got a photo. People see these triangles. They seem to move quickly. Very similar designs. Maybe this is giving us a glimpse. Maybe even starting to put it into our collective conscious. So when this veil comes down, what's the idea behind the triangles?
Well, I think the black triangle UFOs that have been seen are probably a perfect example of the man-made anti-gravity aircraft that have been developed and used by the maybe not just the United States government, but other government, but definitely the United States military. Some of them are actually, I think, more along the lines of what's the term? An airlift body, like a giant blimp.
Sure.
That they are able to use a field propulsion technology to have them fly very quickly when they want to fly very silently. Others are actual, metal or ceramic or whatever types of crafts that they use. But I do think that the majority of the black triangle UFOs are military, secret black project military aircraft that are using exotic technology.
Right on.
Warning, cloaking systems are malfunctioning. We will be visible in 60 seconds.
That's a bad sign. Cloaking system's about to go down. That means we got to wrap this up. Tim Swartz. The name of the book is The Secret Space Program. You can find all about Tim's work at conspiracyjournal.com and find out all the other great stuff that he's up to. Tim, thank you for joining us tonight. It raises so many questions. What do we know? These UFOs, there's no doubt there's got to be stuff up there that we don't know about and aren't supposed to know about. But where do they come from? Do they come from us? Do they come from them? Is it just the mothership doing a joyride? We've been known to do that because that's how we roll. Until next time, folks, thank you from all of us to all of you. Stay odd.
Yeah.
Yeah.